Hey, what's up, guys? David Huffaker here, back with another episode. I don't even know if they're episodes at this point, Chris. Like, we don't have a name for this. Like, we're like, let's just talk with people and see what people like. So I'm here with my buddy, Chris Behling. Chris and I have known each other and been in business together for many years, and I always just love his business acumen, his perspective. And I love the fact that he's connected to the real estate industry, but he is not a realtor or a real estate agent or real estate broker. So, Chris, welcome, brother. Take a quick second, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are.
Yes, so my name is Chris Behling. I'm the owner and CEO of House Call Home Inspection, House Call Pest Control. We're in multiple states. I personally have been in the industry now for, man, it seems like a while, but it's only been 2017. It's crazy.
That
It's
is
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, that is nuts. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I feel like you've been around forever. Um,
It seems like it
well, I
sometimes.
always have such respect for you and the company you've built. One, because you do a good job, right? I think, you can be the best salesperson in the world. If you don't have a great product to deliver, it really doesn't matter. But ultimately, you build relationships with your partners and with the people you're in business with, which I admire. It's how I like to do business. But then also, like for our consumers who are recommending you to and spending time with, y'all crush it, right? Best product
Yeah,
on the market, and all that. So appreciate all you do. It's amazing what you've built since 2017. That's 7 years, 8 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've
We
built an
put in
empire.
we put an entirely different spin on home inspections, honestly. The market's predominantly dominated by, your kind of, I coined this. So if you're a home inspector, listen to this, you can blame me. I call them chuck in a truck, right?
One of
Single
my
owner
favorite sayings of
operators.
yours. Yep.
Yep. Single owner operators. I knew when I first started, I was like, I'm not going to do home inspections, right? I know that seems weird, start a home inspection business and be like, I'm not going to do home inspections. But my game plan was to build a customer service monster, and it's taken over. I mean, we've launched now into multiple states. We just brought on Chicago, so we're super excited.
Yeah. So let's see. You got some Tennessee locations. You've got some Louisiana locations. You got some Illinois locations right now, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
ever
sir.
expand.
We're
And you
looking
don't
to.
just Yeah, right. Always looking for new opportunities. And I know your business well. You and I have the opportunity to coach together, and I go like, I'm like, you're going to take over the country, right? Like it's just such a good model. And the reason it works, though, the reason I wanted you to come on here was because your perspective on business is genuinely an authentic systems models process, customer focused approach to running a business. And then also, real quick before we hop into all that, tell everyone you don't just do home inspection, right? You actually created a couple of ancillary businesses or other companies associated with it, right?
Yeah, so we own House Call Pest Control. That kind of ties into our market, allows us to add additional services to our agents. We also, my twin brother Matt owns Crawl Space Titans. It was originally under my umbrella, and then we kind of spun it off for him. And then I'm involved in a title company with some people I know as well. I don't know if you
That's
know that
right. Does
that
does your
person.
brother does your brother Matt get mad that you're the better looking one all the time? Is that
Oh, as twins, it's definitely, it's funny. There is definitely a competition that
Oh, I'm
continues.
sure. I'm sure. I'll watch my boys be competitive, and they at least have an age gap to use as an excuse of why one beat them in basketball or whatever. But all right, so you built this empire, right? You drive it through. The thing I really admire about your product or about your business is that you don't just go do home inspections, right? You provide all these services, and you and same thing, right? I'm a real estate agent that doesn't actually sell real estate. And that's what I hope some people will be able to take away from this, because there's a lot of conversations in the industry that like realtors need to go build this seventh level team, or that being a business owner somehow is different or better. You and I can probably both attest to the fact, like, if you're an agent listening to this, uh, being an agent in production highly leverages the most profitable spot on planet Earth, right? Being a business owner that can be involved and have boots on the ground and be in the day to day of it and run the business at the same time. So I want to kind of put a little bit of just a piece to that, to
Yeah,
say that like not everybody should be going out. You and I do it because we really value our time, and we're in a spot in our life where we want to be present with our children. I'm not saying that others don't, I just think we have to, I think we have to have the perception of, is one way right or another way right? And I would say it kind of depends on where you're at in your journey and what's most important to you right now.
Yeah,
Initially, it's got to be money, right? I mean, you got to have the money before you can buy back the time. And so you got to, it's that trade off there of where they're at on their journey, not whether one way is right or one way is wrong.
yeah, and I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's like this. So you start off in any business. You are the one person doing whatever it is you're doing. You are accounting, you are HR, you're every part of your marketing, you're the entire business, right? And then at some point, you make a decision how far you want to scale that company, right? And so you can make really good money being an agent in production, selling 20 homes a year, okay, 50 homes a year. I know many agents that do this. You could be a really successful home inspector, uh, doing them all yourself, making a grand a day very easily, okay? But to me, it's like you come to a point where like you're one accident away, you're one no time freedom, no life with your family away. And so you start, I made the change. It's like, hey, I'm going to work on my business, not in my business, right? Like that's the big coin flip, right? And
Hmm.
so for me, at that point, it was like, how do I hire people that are smarter than me at these different areas throughout our business? Like, and just continue to replace myself, right? Like
Well, I
my
think
job.
in
Yeah,
order
go
to
ahead.
get there, you have to go out and do the work at some point because the secret sauce or the thing that you do really well, you won't uncover and unpack. So if you're a newer agent and you're trying to learn, or you're a newer home inspector and you're trying to learn your craft, going out and setting a big, hairy, audacious goal and going after it is what's going to teach you along that journey, and the struggles and the failures is where you're going to find this thing that's unique to you, and that's actually what you turn around and give back to the world, right? And when you give that to the world into, in a way that's meaningful, the customer experience gets better, but then you actually multiply, right? We talk about multiplying instead of addition, right? Multiplying it. So if someone, maybe they can go out and do a ton of home inspections, Chris, but at some point they look up and go, man, I'd rather attach my, to Chris's wagon, where he has the systems and the models and the people, or you have to go build it yourself, which is a lot, right? And I think that's a great business owner like you, I've discovered just through watching you, is the ability to find amazing humans and trust that they can do their job better than you can, right? And that's a big pill to swallow for, especially me as an, I mean, us realtors, right? We have a second car for our ego. Just, and so to be able to say like, maybe I don't do everything awesome, right? Maybe I don't do everything perfect. Other people maybe could do. You don't, that's my coach said to me, he's like, you don't think a marketing and social media person can't do social media better than you? And when you put it like that, I mean, there's only one answer to that question, right? And you go, uh-huh, right? Okay, then why are you sitting here wasting all your time trying to be mediocre at best,
Well,
right?
that's so funny because so I used to go speak at like inspector engagements. I still do the masterminds and different things like that. But what's funny is I remember I went to this mastermind. It was in like Houston, Austin, Texas, and I was there with all these just super great minds in our market, in our my industry. And I come home and Brianna, the first thing she says, that's my wife, if you guys don't know, she's like, "What did you learn?" Like, because it wasn't cheap to go out and do it. And I was like, I learned I need a business coach. uh, it's so funny because I'm sitting there and I'm talking to these like people that have written books and bestsellers, and I realize every one of them on stage, and you just mentioned it a second ago, is talking about your coach. And then so fast forward, I hired a business coach. I
He's
don't
a
know
good
if you
guy.
guys,
I
yeah,
like
he's
him.
he's a stand-up guy. Mr. David Huffaker and I, we have really good in-depth conversations at this point. So I was talking to one of my leaders because I had to ride home. We're doing a rental here in Florida, and I had to go home and get a couch all the way to Nashville. And so I drove home with my sales manager and my director of services. And the whole time on the way home, Isaac, my director of services, is like, dude, I tell you, and I'm tying this together, David. I'm gonna bring it together. So he's like, I'll tell you, since you started coaching, you have become a great leader. And I that was pretty
Boom.
profound to me.
That's
Profound.
awesome. That's
And
awesome.
bringing it back to what you were just saying, like you don't know what you don't know, right? And so as
Yeah.
creative business owners, as any person that's trying to revolutionize or bring some high level service to whatever we're doing, real estate, inspections, pest control, you don't know what you don't know. And so your job is to bring in coaches, to bring in leaders into your organization. If we go back like even a couple of years ago, I probably was less receptive to like others' opinions. Now I'm
Yeah.
like totally like I listen to. I just ask good questions. Just
Yeah.
ask questions.
Servant-based
Ask questions.
leadership.
Ask questions. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I love that, and thank you for the plug. But I look up and I go, Freddie Freeman still has a hitting coach. And if y'all don't know who that is, it's amazing baseball player,
Player.
hitter. And I think of it in terms of like I will get once in a blue moon I will hear someone go, I don't understand the point of coaching, and it's like it's not that a coach is going to give someone. Look, I have a couple of coaches. It's not that I don't know the things. It's that number one, I'm emotional about them, right? And so I need someone that's less emotional. I'm emotional about my things. You're emotional about your things. Chris, I'm not emotional about your things, which is why when we coach, I can give you logical perspective and remove all the noise from it, right? It's you ever stand in the batter's box and try to critique your own swing,
Oh,
that's really difficult, right? And so it's amazing what it's not that Freddie Freeman doesn't know how to hit a baseball. It's that having a third party perspective to look at it and give you feedback and see where you maybe just the slightest tweak could be the difference between winning the World Series and not, right? And so to me, like that's the great value of a coach. Now, if you can also get a coach that knows a few things, that's maybe done what you've done. That's one thing we really try to practice is coaching from the trenches, right? We're not just sitting on a pedestal trying to tell people what we read in a book, but things we've actually experienced and gone through. So walk me through that, right? You've built this huge empire. What is the best leadership advice or best piece that you have implemented that would make Isaac want to say that over the last 2 years? What's had the biggest impact on your business? Not even necessarily leadership, but what have you done that's had the biggest impact?
what have I done? I mean, to me, well, I mean, first and foremost, I think, when you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, I have I've gone on a journey to like really get fit again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, you could build these big empires, you can build these big businesses, but if you don't have like your main pillars organized, like health, like financial stability, you know, faith, these things. And so one of the biggest things, I think it was, yeah, this will be we're on to year two. I woke up one day and I was like, I didn't really like myself. Just my image of myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was at my heaviest and I decided to make a change. You get to a point where you wake up and you're like, man, we have almost 40 employees. There's a lot of people that rely on me. And so the biggest thing for me is just really the last year and a half journey of like being a better listener, because I'm like you, I like to hear, I like to talk, right? If you give
Mm-hmm.
me a microphone and a stage, you're going to yank me off there. So,
That's why I
being a
wanted to have
better,
you on here, is I know I wouldn't have to do any of the talking. I was like, Chris has got this. I'll tease him.
yes, being a better listener, right?
Yeah.
Being open to other people's opinions.
And I think
And
that's a huge one there. It's like being willing to receive, being willing to acknowledge that, like I always say, it was easy for me. My whole life, I've never been good at anything. So it was like, I don't have this fallacy. I shouldn't say that. My whole life, I've always been third or fourth, like in everything. Like, it didn't matter what I did. Like I was always good, but not the best. And so I always look up and go, like, there's always somebody that can do stuff better than me. And then my superpower became, well, let's just tie all that together. Let's just go find all of the best people and find opportunities. And I think that to me about entrepreneurship is leaning into trusting others and then really getting into the thing I love is, isn't it weird that every top business owner in the world got physically fit? Like, I mean, look
there's
at
something,
with the Elon Musk, we're still waiting on him to get on board, but everybody else has gotten like physically in shape and fit.
well, he
And
did
it,
get
because
on
there's this,
board.
did he?
He got on board when he thought he was going to fight Zuckerberg. Remember, he was training for like 6 months, eating.
I missed that. I must have missed that whole thing.
Oh,
That
you
would have been
didn't miss the
awesome.
little Zuckerberg,
I'd have been
Elon
like,
Musk feud. They were going to literally fight like
that'd have
jujitsu.
been
That was
that'd have
they
been
were
awesome.
both in training.
Heck yeah, that'd have been fun. But yes, to me, it's amazing. Like, so here's the two questions as I've grown in my own leadership. I've had a lot of questions, a lot of conversations the last 6 weeks around what got you here won't get you there, and really looking at the level of talent of the people that you're in business with and where you're trying to go. And it's either people have to grow with you. If I want to grow my company by 100% and my people are not committed to growing themselves by 100%, I'm working at a deficit, and that's not great for me as a business owner. And so I have to be able to look at it from that perspective and go, if my company will grow to the extent that my people grow, I will grow to the extent that I grow myself. I mean, if you could see my whole world, you can't see this side of them. It's all books, right? I have 4 leadership books over there that I'm trying to get read in less than 4 minutes. I've got this stack. Like, I know if I want to get better and I want to grow, I have to get someone to pour into me. And the only way to do that is through books, seminars, and coaches, right? And
Mhm.
so I look at it from that perspective and I go, the most successful people in the world. So the two questions I've started asking people as I've started a new round of looking for talent is, tell me about the last book you read and tell me about your workout routine. And if you
Okay.
can't answer those two questions for me with some, excitement, I go, yep, that's the person I want to be in business with.
No, it's all good. So, okay. So, first and foremost, like the last book I read is Buy Not Build. Okay. And that's been a game changer for me as somebody that's trying to rapidly expand our business. Like, you got two options, right? You can either go plant your flag, right? Which takes the most amount of money, right? Because you have to cover all the expenses, you have to hire everybody there, and you're going to go out and enter a market that you have never been in before. So, yeah, a lot of those fail. I mean, I know a lot of business owners that have gone and said, hey, I built this great thing here in Nashville, or I built this great thing here in Chicago or Atlanta or whatever. And then they try to go to Charleston and it flops, right?
Yeah,
So to
that's
me,
harder than it looks.
yes. So buy not build. And so that really changed my mentality as a business owner. So like our last three expansion or two expansions have been purchases, small operations, ownership looking to retire. They've been in business. They've built up some goodwill, and those have been home runs for us because we had, like you said earlier, systems, marketing. We have teams of people. We have a process, right? And so we just go in, and each one of those has already doubled in business, right?
So
So that's the first.
so it sounds like you've built the framework, or what I like to call the bridge, right, of the systems and the structure and the model of things that can be done at a distance, right? Somebody doesn't have to roll up into the front yard in a truck. The customer service piece, the client acquisition piece, all of that, and the accounting, the financials, all that can be done at your hub location, right? And then you're
Yes.
going out and purchasing the portion. Let me ask you this: are you writing big checks?
No.
Yeah,
No.
see, I
It's
know the answer to that. I was leading you into it, right? And I
no.
think that's what, and so I guess for the people listening to this, I want them to think about right now, there are so many businesses that don't have a succession plan. Listen, think about it generationally. Yes, there were in the 50s and 60s, everybody went to work at a factory or worked for someone else or for some company. They stayed with them for all this time for a pension. That's not who is retiring now, right? Now, as people are starting to retire, are this 70s, 80s generation of workers that built small businesses but there has not been, the world changed, and all of a sudden what is available now has never been available before, and we got to really
Mhm.
look at that and go, now there's all of these small businesses that no one's ever figured out what to do next, right? For the baby boomer generation, no one ever figured out what is the offboarding succession look like. I'm telling you, there's a huge market out there for anyone that wants to go out and acquire a business, because I think they said like there's a million and something businesses a year that they're just simply turning off the lights, right? Like
Oh,
they've
I
saved up
I
the money and
agree
want to retire, and
a
it's like,
hundred percent.
dude, let's go acquire all those, right? If
A
you're a
hundred
business,
percent.
I don't even care if it's a cupcake shop on the corner of New York City, right? Like
If you
we
can
can
make it,
like
yeah. If you can make
someone
the
has put
numbers
in
work.
40 years of work, right? And you and I have this model that we don't actually shell any money out up front, right? Which then the thing I love about that model that we've been using is the onus is back on the business seller to make sure that the thing remains profitable in the future, which is
Yep.
one of the challenges if you're going to buy a business is you write someone a check, you're really buying their database, buying their systems and models, their reputation and brand. If you just write them a check up front, they're off to the beach, and it doesn't matter to them whether things stay successful. And that leaves everything back on you. The way you and I've learned to do it is to do it in a fact of like, it has to remain profitable because that's where their money comes from, which then allows it to be a little bit of a partnership and a smoother transition. So I hope people that are listening to this, Chris, will pick up on the excitement from me and you right here and go like, dude,
Yeah. Oh
this
yeah.
is a massive opportunity that I think a lot of people are missing to go out and acquire businesses within your space. Don't do the cupcake shop on the corner of New York City. Go find something you're good at that you already know
Yes.
and that you can
I
expand on, right?
so I have this three-pronged approach when I look for businesses. And even my pest control company was a purchase. So everybody knows. So the thing is what I do is right now and David and I talk extensively on this. So like I approach businesses of three different models. Basically, hey, I can come in and coach you, right? Like I'll coach you to grow your business, right? That's the first inlay. And usually it's a company that I want to target for acquisition anyway. I'm in their coaching, learning their systems, their deficiencies, trying to help them grow. And the second step is a partnership where we come in and acquire a position in their company and let them keep the equity that they've already earned and that side of the business, but then we take a piece of everything that we grow from there, right? And then the third position is what's your exit plan, right? Like, when do you want to exit? Is it next year, 10 years, 5 years? And then we want to acquire that business from you. At that point, most likely we're doing their marketing. And so we have different things that we've rolled out. We actually don't only do our own inspection business. We do client care for other inspection companies. We do marketing for other inspection companies. And it allows us to kind of gain momentum throughout the market and identify other companies that we can purchase, right? Now, I'm a big believer like you. I don't want to write anybody a check, right? You write somebody a check, you hit the nail on the head. As soon as the paperwork, the ink isn't even dry, and it's your baby now, and like they have,
Yeah.
uh, it's if it falls apart, it falls apart. I like to do the overtime out of profit scenario that you just laid out for people. My pest control company, that was the same way. Like we were out here using some of the larger pest control companies, setting up termite inspections for our agents as a customer service type thing. And then I was like, we need to like own a pest control company. why are we
Yeah.
farming this out? And so I
Yeah.
just went and bounced around until I found somebody that was like nearing exit, right? And then I just had
Yeah.
conversations with them like, hey, what's your plan? What's your exit strategy? And he was like, well, I'm just going to turn it over to my employees. And I was like, John, do you think that, I mean, here's what I told him. I said, who in your company can lead this pest control company? Because I want to coach them, right? That's
Yeah.
what I told him. I want to coach them. And so originally he was going to turn it over to his employees, and then he was going to start a new pest control company with me to achieve what we wanted to. And after about 3 months of talking back and forth, he was like, Chris, I think you should just acquire the business.
Well, I
And
think
so
that's
there you
important.
go.
People recognize that it's one, it's a process, right? And so
Mhm.
whatever you're trying to go out and acquire or be in business with, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to figure it out. There's a lot going on here, guys. So if you ever want, shameless plug, if you want advice, coaching, counseling on valuation, how do you value a business? How do you know what it's worth? How do you work on a transition plan? Should it be short? There's different trains of thought between ripping the band-aid off versus, slow integration and what are the pros and cons of that. Cultural alignment is a big piece of it, right? What you just said, being able to, identify the strengths and weaknesses of all parties because no one's coming in with an absolute, just silver bullet on how to solve it. And then making sure that it's successful for the long term. Because as you buy and acquire businesses, ultimately we all have to have for you and I as business owners, I kind of have two people in thought. Number one, it's the employees and the sales agents and the people of the teams in real estate. I've got to make sure that their life gets better as a result of this, not worse, right? And so to me, like my first client is the agent, or my first client is the team that we're getting into business with. The second is the end consumer, right? Can we know we provide a phenomenal real estate experience. How do we do that in Spokane, Washington, as opposed to Nashville, Tennessee, right? How do you, and then there's all these nuances to it. I think it's really, would love to chat if anybody has any interest in having that conversation. I just wrote down what you said because if I put it in terms of the ABCs of leading a succession plan or helping someone, A is acquisition, right? So that's the succession, the acquiring of it, what we're talking about. B is building a bridge, right? It's where you stay you, but we continue to offer you offer customer service, you offer bookkeeping, you offer financing, sales management, all the things that you can offer someone where it's they stay them, but it's a bridge partnership there. And then the C is the coaching piece of it, right? You just want someone to coach you and bounce ideas off of it and you go execute on it, but you don't. And so I love that when I think about the ABCs of what are the opportunities of getting into business with some of these people that are starting to look up and go, what is my sunset, right? What is my strategy on exiting? What do I want the last 5 years of my career to look like? Last thing I'll throw out, guys, is the red flag you want to avoid is the person that comes to you and says, I need out in 60 days. How can we make this work? Right? Like that should be a red flag for everyone. I've just noticed like you go like, yep, nope. If it feels that rushed or they're needing to get out that quick, be mindful of it. And then lastly, just disclaimer, legally, a lot of stuff going on there, right? So make sure your attorneys are advising you on the difference between acquiring someone else's LLC versus starting your own LLC or partnership, or having an OA written out. You write everything from a standpoint of the divorce, right? What happens if we have to break this apart? All of those pieces, a lot of moving parts. However, huge opportunity. Go out, get your unfair share of it. Reach out to me or Chris. Let us know how we can provide advice or counsel on opportunities. And then last, Chris, you and I both know this. It's not about the what, it's about the who. Go find great humans and the opportunity
Yeah,
will
see,
present
that's what
itself, right?
I was going to tie it back in. Like, here's the thing. Like, there's a lot of shrewd business people out there. There's a lot of ripoff artists and con artists. The difference is you want to be in business with people that care. Okay, I'm in business with David because David runs a business and he hit the nail on the head just a second ago. Like, it's about the agents first. I am a big win-win person. Like, I don't buy businesses. I don't coach people. I don't merge unless all parties win, right? I'm not in there to ruin people's lives. I'm not in to make it worse for them, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you could buy a business, and I think you and I talked about this just the other day. Uh, Leadership is like, I don't like this, right? I don't like this ownership group, right? And so to me, when you do these things, it has to come from a place of like, what is your why? Like to me, it's like my why is to build this vision of this group of this company that just fits everybody else's vision in it, right? And so you really have to, you know, ask good questions, throw your throw like I throw my ego, and David knows I have a big ego, right? I'm confident, okay? But you got to throw that out the door, okay? And you have to come from a place of like, how can I make this a win-win for everybody? Now sometimes it just doesn't work, right? But
Yeah.
if you start from there, you'll be successful, right?
I think wrap that up. Come from contribution. And then the quote, my mentor, Gary Keller, man, he always says you can either have an ego or a we go, right? Or your ego, I'm sorry, I butchered that. Ego is either me go or we go,
Yeah.
right? And so focusing on the we go, right? We all go together and we all have success with it. Chris, man, thanks for sharing some time with us today. I know your insight is going to help a ton of people as you continue to grow and crush it. Guys, I'm sure whatever market you're in, Chris would love the opportunity to earn your business, to build a relationship with you, and to be able to serve you at the highest level. And if he's not in your market, he'd love to come and partner with your top professionals to be able to help them grow more. Chris, thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you.
See you guys.